With over $1 billion in funding and 14 plus years in development, what can you actually do in Star Citizen in its current state? In what is one of the most ambitious PC games and space MMOs there's ever been, you're about to see whether it's even worth playing or whether it lives up to the Star Citizen is a scam trends we keep seeing pop up online every now and then. I've been playing since January 2014 and I have to say it's definitely a love-hate relationship like no other. Yes, it's still in alpha and yes, it can be quite buggy, but it's a whole lot better than what most make it out to be. You see, I started playing Star Citizen when all we had was an empty hangar with whatever ship you got in your starter package. In my case, the Aurora LN, which was $45 back then. I'd spend hours wondering what might be, staring at my non-functional spaceship. Then we got the first big area, so big that they even gave it a number, Area 18. Sure, there were no NPCs or shops at first, just an empty shell with all the lights and glamour, but it was awesome, and the first step towards becoming the game we know and love today. Then we got Port Olisar, more planets, moons, areas, and later even jump gates that led to even more systems, planets, moons, and asteroid fields. Sometimes it feels like people forgot how far this game has come and just how much there is to do in Star Citizen. But to see it all for yourself, let me tell you a little story. After many days and countless kills as a bounty hunter, I felt rather relaxed. The latest gameplay loop everyone was raving about was refueling, but there was one problem. I didn't have a refueling ship just yet. I needed to start saving AUEC credits to get my hands on a Starfarer Gemini, which is currently the premier refueling ship. What I did have was some time to spare and an RSI Hermes with epic yellow paint to do some cargo hauling. Man, I love that ship. Now, even though the Hermes has one of the coolest ship tractor beams in the entire game, since it runs on a rail from front to back that makes loading and unloading cargo so much easier, I still like using the ATLS mech when hauling cargo. I decided to see which missions they were and started stacking hauling missions from station to planet, meaning I can complete roughly 6 or 7 quests at a time by going back and forth between only 2 locations. Plus, there's also almost zero risk involved other than server crashes, which are few and far between compared to a year ago. I got my Hermes all loaded up, realizing that the Atlas I was using was a bit overkill and not at all needed in this particular ship. It was time to go offload this cargo, complete these missions and start profiting big time. Tossing boxes out of your ship without a care in the world is quite fun. And even though these runs typically take me about 30 minutes, I can never do too much hauling without getting the urge to shoot something. So I grabbed some assassination contracts and jumped into the brand new Origin M80, a heavy fighter who has an interior that reminds me of a rave club in the late 90s. Pretty horrid interior lighting if you ask me, but the firepower is undeniable. Sure, the nice bulk payouts of cargo trading are nice, but bounty hunting just keeps things exciting. I decided that I'd go pick on something about 5 times my size as a warm-up. The Aegis Hammerhead, a gunship of doom and definitely not a friend of small fighters, since it has turrets for days and 360 degrees coverage. But the M80 is so fast, and I felt pretty confident that I could dodge all its turrets without a problem. I started eating away at the toll with my massive deadbolt ballistic cannons, an epic alien-designed ship weapon that can make any opponent cry, and pop goes the hammerhead. Too easy. But even 4 weapons can get boring, plus my ADD doesn't help. So I decided to hop into something a little fatter, the Aspera Stinger Heavy Fighter, which has a total of 7 guns. Just listen to this thing. Seriously, how cool is this ship? Kill after kill, this thing is an absolute blast to point at something. even though it turns like a space truck. I finally did it, managing to get enough in-game credits for a big refueling ship, and so it was time to head to Lorville and grab myself a brand new Starfarer Gemini. Now, one of the absolute best parts of Star Citizen is buying a new ship and seeing it for yourself for the first time in-game. Excited, I head to my hangar and called up the Gemini, which is a military variant of the base Starfarer. Man, just look at those big fuel tanks. The very first thing I wanted to do was upgrade them to whatever allows us to carry the most fuel, and at the time that meant installing Nemec fuel pods. I headed to New Babbage on Microtech because that's where I know I can always find plenty of great ship upgrades. Plus a quick look online confirmed that I could indeed get these pods there. I jumped on the train, it seemed like a busy night in the verse, and off to the commons area we go. I arrived and grabbed whatever upgrades I could for my brand new Starfarer. And now that that was done, I opened my Mobiglass and grabbed some contracts to see how much money we can actually make with refueling. I needed to see for myself whether it was AUEC well spent or if I just threw 14 million credits down the drain. I fired up the engines and started heading out. I got a few clients around Stanton, making decent credits here and there, but nothing too major, since I still had to build my reputation in order to unlock those bigger, juicier contracts. I decided that it was time to head to the extremely dangerous and lawless Pyro system in search of higher paying contracts. After all, I did now have a strong military refueling ship capable of taking a beating. But my time in Pyro was short-lived, as I found out the credits for refueling contracts at the time of this recording wasn't really worth it for me personally compared to what I usually make per hour. I decided it was time for some mining, because not only is that a good way to earn a ton of money and see new places, but now that crafting is in-game, you can make some really sweet gear, weapons, ship components and more. I took out my trusty little prospector, and as I approached, I wondered what exactly it was we're going to be looking for. I went for Shuben contracts because after gaining enough reputation with them, you get access not only to epic blueprints for you to craft, but big money contracts as well as access to the Rockbreaker missions for even more rare loot. But the first step is finding the right rocks to mine in order to refine the ore and ultimately complete the missions. I headed out in search of quartz, corundum and copper, using it as an excuse to also do some nice, relaxing exploration. Eventually I got what I needed and started heading to the nearest refinery. I quickly realized that even though this was quite fun, it's not exactly fast profit. And since it was reputation I was after rather than money, I decided to just go buy what I needed. I grabbed my Hermes again and went to offload both refined and my purchased ore to bump up that reputation much faster. Of course, I just had to make a quick stop and go kill a hammerhead on the way to satisfy my craving for some action. Rinse, repeat, and I finally ended up back in the trading business, using the massive ironclad to gain reputation faster with the hauling guilds, if you can call them that. But exploration is where it's at for me. It's not about money, it's about seeing what's out there. This is where you make awesome discoveries, gather great loot unexpectedly, and sometimes even make a friend or two. There's also racing or simply low flying at incredible speeds while trying your best not to die. With so much to do in Star Citizen, it's really not about money at all, but just having a good time doing whatever floats your boat, or ship rather. Whether you like playing it safe, jumping into PvP zones, ship to ship or FPS combat, the choice is yours. But now that we've scratched the surface, be sure to check out one of these videos next and let us know what is your favorite thing to do in the verse.